It always works out. I need a little more. When I get to, I need to get the name up here. I can't get
All
Queen,
right.
but that's okay. People know.
Let's do it, Ron.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Artist on Lockdown. This has been such an experience for me personally because we've been talking to artists from all over the world, backstage, stories, histories, what's happening now, what's happening, what we hope to be happening very, very soon in the near future. And today we're talking to a gentleman who's been doing this for quite a while now because he's had such a passion for the music of Queen, as we all do. And in my personal experience, I rarely have had the opportunity to work with a tribute artist such like this guy. So I want to bring him to our stage. Artists on Lockdown proudly presents Patrick Myers from Killer Queen. Killer Queen, Patrick.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, great. Good to see you.
So, I got to tell you, I mean, I'm going to start right off the bat because I say this, and some of the other guys, I've been very, very fortunate at the Arcada Theater, Patrick, to be working with some of the top tribute artists around the world. They come to us, and I'm honored by it. And one of the reasons why I'm honored by it are guys like you, because, and I say this to people, because there are those, and we're all adults here. There are those that love tribute artists. There are those that have their opinions about tribute artists. And my opinion, and I'm sure you run into that, right? But my opinion is the fact that the quote unquote real guys go on stage, especially some of these guys who are a little bit on in their years. They've been doing it since the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, and they may forget a word or two. They may be offbeat, a note. They may be off key, something. But the fans love them, so they're forgiving. They're fine. But a tribute artist, God forbid, God,
No mercy.
you miss one word, you're off key. You stutter step at all. You hold a flag this way rather than this way, and they're all over you. So I have a lot of respect for tribute artists because you have to be, quote unquote, again, perfect. You really do.
Yeah, I guess I've thought about that a little bit. Yeah, you can't really have an off day. I think when you're the artist, the original artist, I think Freddie gave that advice to Tony Hadley from Spandau Ballet. Tony was saying, "Oh, what happens if this happens? What happens if this happens?" Because he was a relatively young artist, and Freddie had been around for 12, 15 years. And he said they've come to see you. You're the essence of the thing. So if you fall on your ass, it's Tony Hadley falling on his ass, and it's going to be great. And and it doesn't matter because it's you. And kind of the inverse might be true for a tribute band, I guess. But I think the flip side of that is people don't want you to go wrong. People want you to succeed. People want to give themselves over to the event and forget the whole notion of tribute and not tribute, but just have a kind of magical kind of experience that's quite transportative. So it's I think if you get locked into the you can't make a mistake, you're going to make a mistake vibe. But if you move into they just want you to succeed, everyone wants to have a good time, it kind of makes it more fun. And I think the key to this for me is it's a lot of fun.
You can see that.
Freddie was such a free performer, he could you felt he could go anywhere and do anything and have fun and bring the audience with him, of course. And that's part of the fun. So that it's that level of freedom that you feel on stage that makes it kind of like a release rather than a horrible pressure thing,
Well, you're right. Again, when people, you're backstage, you're getting ready. I'm hearing you doing your scales, your vocal preparations, doing that stuff. That's your job. My job is to be in the front of the house there to welcome our guests and hey, just get them all pumped up, getting ready for a big time. And you're right. They want to believe in their head. You're Freddie Mercury. That's Brian May. That's Queen. I mean, in their head, that's what they need. That's what they want, especially in situations when the artists are no longer with us. So it comes to be a very emotional experience. And people like you who take it so seriously, who really, and again, just truckloads of respect to guys like you, people like you who have such passion, and you personally respect your craft so much. I mean, you've been doing it for a couple of decades now, plus.
A while, yeah.
And but I am sure you work on it still every day. You're still rehearsing. You're still honing your craft, and that's a testament to your just how you are literally taking over the world now.
It's gone really well for us, really. As I say, we started from a point of view, we're just fans, you know. We're not. So we put this together as before there were tributes, really. And I think when we started, we just threw ourselves at it without really knowing how much work was involved. I'd had a background in bands. I'd sang live a fair bit before growing up as a teenager, and I'd done a lot of drama training too. I went to London to try and kind of make some kind of adventure. I wasn't sure what it was going to be, music, acting, or whatever, but some kind of adventure happened. Yeah, I mean, when you start, you don't realize how much work there is to do. But you throw yourself at it because you're young, and that's the brilliant thing about being young. You just think, I don't care. I'm not going to let any voice in my head stop me. I'm just going to go and do this, because what's the point of being in it if you don't try? So you go off there, and then you realize, oh wow, there's a lot to learn here. The singing I was doing in a band in the festivals in Leicester and things, and what you're having to do here requires a lot of. So yeah, you do work all the time, and you do keep working at it. And the great thing now is you've got things like, if you're thinking, like, how did Freddie? How did he work his mouth with this? What was he doing? What was the embouchure or the placement? And you know, where was he getting his resonance for this thing? You can just look it up on YouTube, and it's there for you. When we started, it was like, oh wow. Yeah, right. we were literally getting on the underground to travel to people's houses we didn't even know, to borrow video cassettes so we could try and look, because all we had was what we had in our memories, you know.
So you did set out to be a Queen tribute band, as opposed to some other artists had mentioned to me, well, we started being a variety classic rock band,
right, yeah,
and then we did a Journey set, and then people loved the Journey part, so we decided to
expand that bit. This wasn't really something that I certainly thought it had potential if it went well, so I wasn't unaware of, you know, a great Queen tribute band could obviously do really well. But actually it didn't really come from that, because as I say, when we were very starting this, it was more a case of we hadn't seen Queen live. We'd all missed out on seeing Queen live with Freddie. I mean, now you can see Queen live, you know, with Adam, and it's fantastic. I've seen it. I was hopefully going to see the next tour when it comes back next year. So, but when we were starting out, Queen had to finish. Freddie had just died as we went to university. It happened like 8-10 weeks right into that. So we'd all just made friends. And we just shared each other's musical influences, all the bands we'd like. And Queen was very much a common ground between all of us. We had different little pockets we're all into, but everyone, funnily enough, in our halls of residence, loved Queen. So we thought we knew everyone our age, because we were just the age where it was too young. I think I was 14 when they did their last tour, and it was always people, the older brothers who'd been to see them, you know, the people who were 16, 17, you know. We just, boom, that door had slammed in our face, and we thought, well, everyone our age, they haven't seen Queen, because unless they were really, really lucky, they just, you know, been really difficult to kind of organize, you know, that sort of thing. So we thought, let's do a show. There wasn't a huge, there wasn't symphonic Queen, there wasn't a range of tributes to look at, there was nothing. So we thought, we'll put a show on for everyone our age, and we managed to get a big, bizarrely, we managed to get a big show. Our first show was for like 1,000 people or something, at a college ball. So everybody in that college ball was in the same situation as us. They'd never seen Queen. They wanted to see Queen. We were hoping and, you know, hanging in there for Queen to tour again. Obviously, everyone suddenly understood why that could never have happened after 86. So we put that one show on, and we thought, you know, if it had been just that one show, it would still be one of the kind of fondest memories of my life, because it was a beautiful evening. I met lots of people that became friends. I had a great time. I was so worried that this wouldn't even translate as an idea. You know, it might even be sacrilegious to do. That's how unheard of the tribute things were. Mm-hmm. You know, are people even going to want this, or, you know? But it's that thing. It's that everyone knows when they walk through the door, it's a tribute. Everyone knows when they buy a ticket, it's a tribute. What they want to do is they want that magic dust.
Yeah.
They want that in the room. And they want to forget whatever it says on the ticket. They want to throw themselves at the experience, you know. So,
and that's what happens. You know, you walk in, you start out, you want to believe, as I mentioned, you come out on stage, And I think once they get, and I'm talking about people who've never seen you before. People who've seen you, they know what they're getting. It's a great experience. It's a great show. It's a great night of entertainment and memories of one of their favorite, if not their favorite artist and band ever. But for the people that haven't seen you, it's getting through that first 30, 45 seconds of the song. I mean, let's see if this guy is going to pull it off. And I watch it. I mean, I've watched it backstage because I know people, and some of these people are, it's the wife or the husband of the fan that's not really a fan, but they're there and like, well, okay.
It's the in the chair with the arms folded look.
Exactly. But from when it goes like this, to ayo, ayo, and the guy is, it's got to be a great feeling, right?
That's the challenge, though. You want to get everybody, the people that are already there and they're on board. That's great, but you want to get the whole room like they're one thing, and that's what's fun about it. I like a little bit of resistance in that first minute or whatever. I like looking at different, the bits of the audience.
And you target that person, right?
You don't really target them, but you just because you can't. It's a funny thing. It's a little dance that you do with each other, with the audience, and you sort of like you give and you take, and you look and you don't, and that sort of stuff. So it's essentially you let them know it's okay. It's good fun, and everyone wants, even the person that's sitting there with their arms folded, would rather give themselves permission. They have to give themselves permission to have a great time. Sure. And you have to give boom, 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 and lay the cards out and go boom, boom, and then there's enough there, and the songs. I mean, let's not have, the huge, musical elephant in the room is these songs are great. They are designed to lift an audience, grab an audience. They've got so much dynamic range in their arrangements and development in how they lure an audience in and grab them and then surprise them and excite them, even if you know them, that you feel the fresh dynamic, when you hear the stuff live. So you've got a lot of stuff to offer an audience.
Well, I can tell you that another great sign or a sign of a great tribute band, many of them have that front man. Obviously, you are who you are. There are the Steve Perrys of the world, the Paul McCartneys of the world, the Robert Plants of the world, tribute artists. I mean, that, they got to be great. Okay. You can't be a mediocre front man. Just takes the air out of that balloon. But the other side of the coin is the support, the rest of the band, the theatrics of it, the lighting of it, the effects of it. And I got to say that before you even walk on stage and people go, holy crap, he looks like him, and now he sounds like him, now he's acting like him, before you even get there, the band is, your band is tremendous.
They're great.
Are tremendous. I mean, it's an experience. It's a Queen. I'll tell you, for me, it starts off as a Queen experience because that's what you expect. But middle way through it and by the end, it's just an experience, an incredible experience. It could have been any music. It just gets me so into it that I just love the show. I mean, it's a great show, whether you're doing it at the end, it doesn't matter that you're doing Queen or not, because the show itself takes over. I mean, it's really spectacular what you do.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. It's, I think I'm very lucky. The band that we've been together, Killer Queen, for a while. We've got to know each other really well, and they're just superb musicians, and we all gel off each other well. But I think we all enjoy what we're doing a lot on stage. And
you could tell.
I think, and again, it comes back to, but I think the structure of what we're able to offer an audience is through the songwriting, and also the sense of you can hear the songs, but you've got to make the songs release for an audience. They've got to be. It's almost like they want to hear them for the first time. They'll suddenly hear that, oh yeah, that middle eight really kicks when you put that in, and they've heard it on their stereo, they've heard it in the car a million times, but when you hear it live, you can really feel the passion. Because I think Queen's music is very passionate. I think it covers a range of emotions. There's a lot of humor in the songs. There's a lot of really great, iconic rock and roll, but there's a lot of pathos and there's a lot of heartache, in there too. And then it turns on a coin and becomes jubilant. It can't help but make you feel like you're celebrating all different levels of emotions at the same time. And it's not just everybody be happy now. It can take you anywhere, but you'll still feel like you're punching the air at the end.
Absolutely.
And that's what I love about that music,
it's got that power. It really, really does. That energy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, before, it's like the music itself is the lighting of the wick, but you got to be the wick itself and take it to the explosion. I mean, that's what I see, because you're right. The music is great to start, but if you don't have the goods to deliver
right.
music, the music isn't so great. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a million ways to kill a Queen song if
hence Killer Queen.
if it's not going to work. Yeah, I mean, thanks. We put, as I say, we work hard on it to make sure I think it's for us. Well, for me, it's what I like about it is as a thing to do is that you always think, well, what would I like to see? What would I like? What would I want to? Because there's still a part of me that lives in my head as a kid. I mean, quite a big part sometimes, and particularly when it comes to things that are the touchstone things of your childhood. And for me, that was the Beatles and it was Queen. I had these two kind of giants, and a little bit of the Beach Boys in there too. It was it becomes this thing that it's like this endless thing that you can keep tinkering with and having fun with. Because you've got in your mind's eye, you're always thinking, what would an audience want? And it's great crafting those songs in terms of a theatrical experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's light and shade, and then it goes down, and then it goes hum up, and
fun.
Watching ride that emotion, is really good fun. So but if you're coming at it from a point of view as a fan, because as I say, we're just Queen fans, we're not an official tribute or not anything like that. I think that gives you a window into it that's quite personal, and you start thinking you're not just aiming wide and hoping. I think with anything you've got to try and be, even with things like a tribute where you think, oh, it's just easy, you just do everyone else's songs. You've got to approach it in a way that you personally would like. You think, well, I'd like to see that. That's good, and you've got to actually give a damn about it yourself. And if you think, well, that moves me, I think I would like that, then you've got half a chance with an audience rather than just throw the hits at them and hope for the best.
Well, talking about the audience, we know the audience is full of experts.
The world is full of experts these days.
We do. We know that. We've accepted that. But all kidding aside, has there been a time, or if you could think of an example, where you're doing your thing and they come and then you're doing your meet and greets, and afterwards, like, Patrick, you were amazing. I loved it. It was like being with Freddie himself. But if you just did this, was there
once in a while we get things like that, but very, very rarely actually. But I quite like, to be honest, I don't really mind, but people occasionally write in with stuff. It's more sort of suggestions. Could you try this song? Could you try this? Mm-hmm. But I like getting criticism, really. That's not to say, I'm immune to, getting a bit hurt if someone really doesn't like things. But as I say, that doesn't really happen a lot. But what I like is things that you think, oh yeah, that's a good idea, because it's quite you don't want to get too, it's not like we have to go and then write another album. The work is there, so the room for complacency in terms of like, oh, it's all right. We'll just keep, you think, oh, well, actually, let's put some deep cuts in. Let's try this. Let's try. You've still got to serve an audience. You've got to. Some of them are there just for the hits, but you've got to find a way of balancing a set so that the people that know the hits and love the hits, but want a little bit more. They want some deep, connection with the albums. Yeah, B-sides with the albums. I think the albums are sometimes
an album
overlooked.
Yes.
I mean, I think because Queen Greatest Hits did so well, and it's racing through the records of, most extraordinary selling record ever. That the sort of gold that's in albums like Sheer Heart Attack, Made in Heaven, Innuendo, the companion piece, Night at the Opera, Day at the Races, and News of the World is one of my favorites as well. And there's just a lot of beautiful, fantastic songs in those things, and that are really theatrical. An album like Sheer Heart Attack, for me,
sure.
It's amazing. It's like, you could, the segues between the songs, it's almost, the whole thing almost links up into this. You could make that show into a stage show.
It's like an opera. It's an opera.
There's so much narrative in it. There's so much character. There's almost like, Lap of the Gods, the first part is almost like a sort of like Phantom of the Opera type character, this sort of like
an
weird,
opera.
moaning, sort of mournful voice. So there's so much fun to be had in those albums. And for me, the challenge is, the sort of like surefire hits you're going to hit with songs, kind of where some of the stuff like We Are the Champions, that's got to go at the end and things. It's placing the other stuff that I find really good fun, and then finding a way of presenting it so you've still included everybody. It's not, right, I don't know this one, I'm going to go and
right. No, look, you keep everybody engaged. Even these so-called B-sides, deep cuts, you keep them engaged again, because where the music, I don't want to say falls short, that's not proper, but where the music may or the familiarity in a particular song may dip a little bit, what makes up for it is the actual visual presentation that keeps you engaged in your show. So that's one of the great things about it. I mean, you're so animated. Everybody is. You're Brian May. I mean, that's him. That's Brian.
Simon is amazing.
Simon is great, and these just are all really good guys. So let me ask you a question you may or may not have gotten before. I'm sure you have. Things are a little crazy right now. There is probably nothing that anybody could say or do that would shock anybody in the world right now. The way everything is, I mean, anything's possible. So you're in London vicinity. Your band is from London. You're over the across the pond, as they say, and you're in you walk into a hotel. You see a gentleman sitting in the lobby, and you're looking close. They say Elvis is still around. Who knows? It could be crazy. Let's say that was Freddie sitting in the hotel lobby.
Oh, okay.
You had the opportunity to walk up to him and say anything besides, "Oh, I love you, Freddie. I just did." But is there any question? Is there something you always wanted to know from Freddie or about Freddie that you would ask him if you ever shook his hand?
I'm appalling at rustling up questions to people that are kind of my heroes, which is why I don't really go a bundle. I mean, I would love to have met Freddie. I would have just liked to. For me, it's a question is never something that appeals to me as a thing to do with someone that's famous or someone that you really have a lot of respect for. For me, it would be watching a process that would be interesting. Watching him, he had a great ear. He is great. He has a great way of having quite an interesting sort of harmonic chord structure, and then putting the real meat and potato stuff drag the audience back into a real hook. Harmonically, always very interesting. So, for me, being around that, would be amazing. But I run a mile from the I think that's. I was reading that book, Me Cheetah. It's supposed to be Cheetah's autobiography,
right?
And it was written by James something or other. It's a really funny book, and I'm just reading it again. And he's writing his own biography, and he says that it's that interchange where someone walks up to you and asks a question, and then you answer the question, and then there's that silence between you because you don't really know each other, but you've got this gulf of emotion that the person who's famous can never really bridge for you because they don't know you. And he said that little moment after whatever it is you've asked him, you've done the autograph, where you don't really know what to do, that's fame. And I think aside from paying for everybody's dinner or whatever, or whisking everyone up in private jets for your holiday, or whatever, I think that's the bit I've always avoided. I've always I don't put people on pedestals because I just love watching what they do. I love it that bands like Queen and bands like the Beatles found each other, and they could interact with each other and create this process and realize, oh, hang on a minute, we're quite good as a little team here. this we all bring something to the table. So for me, being able to watch that process, or it's the process that I find interesting. But there's so many things. I wouldn't know where to start with Freddie, because I think he was such an amazing chap. He had such a range of things that he was great at. His visual flair, his theatrical flair as well, but aside from his voice and his music, his design flair, and his sense of fun. He just find he'd always pulling things from the air, thinking about that. He's very good filter of that's not going to work, that's going to be good, that's going to be interesting, that's going to be interesting. So watching that process for me would be that would be heaven. So yeah, that sort of thing really. But I would never be able to come up with a $100 million question for anyone like that. And there was a time when I worked in an advertising company. I was doing tiny little things on Photoshop for them, but mostly delivering parcels and wandering around with posters and, you know, trying to get shows on the go. And they were the people that Queen eventually used to do the "We Will Rock You" visuals and the promotion and all that. And so they came in. They came into the office, I think, with Jim, and everyone in all the MDs and the creatives at the company knew that I did this Queen tribute, and I was been working on this. And this was back in the 90s, and this was what I was doing to sort of subsidize things while I was getting all things together, and I was doing acting gigs as well. And it was a lovely time. It was in the middle of the West End. So anyway, Queen came in and they said to me, listen, we want you to dress up as Freddie and serve them tea while we're doing our pitch.
Wow.
And it's absolutely the last thing I'd ever want to do.
Of course.
There's just absolutely no way am I going to do that. Bearing in mind, it's just so no. But obviously it was the head of creative there that suggested it. So I had to come up with a reason that wasn't, that's a bad idea. I said something, I don't know. I can't remember what I said, but I kind of backtracked without trying to comment on the idea. But
I forgot my mustache at home, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. And then I saw them and I hid, and it wasn't just, there's no way I was going to do that. But then I thought, you know, I saw them coming, and I'd seen it was in Leicester Square, the offices, and I was kind of there behind this big glass panel, and I thought I could just nip out and say hi and just pretend to be accidentally sharing lift with it was Roger and Brian and Jim, I think was there. Jim Beach. And I don't really regret not doing it. That's the thing. If I thought, I wish I'd done that, that would be something. But I don't hanker after those kind of experiences.
Wind up doing it. You did not wind up.
I've never wanted that sort of thing. I've not to say that I'd never want to meet these people or whatever it is, but that kind of it kind of feels a bit reductive from the fans' point of view. It's a bit, you know. That said, I massively. It's enough that it goes on in my head for me. I massively love what they do, and I love their music and their creativity and the fact that they've created this huge body of work, and they didn't split up. They kept going and they found their way through. And even when Freddie was, you know, and it was clear that Freddie was not going to live potentially, you know, very long at all, they produced some of their best stuff. They just transformed into this really quite adult songs like Days of Our Lives, Don't Try So Hard, Innuendo, Show Must Go On. I mean, there's this whole load of stuff that they came, these beautiful glittering jewels they just threw at us before they ceased to be with, you know, as an active thing with Fred. But so yeah, no, I would probably always sidestep a situation like that.
Well, Freddie, obviously, you know, just like so many others, gone too soon, gone too young. What as being somebody who studied him and obviously one of his biggest fans, of course, and besides a new record or something like that, what do you think we were most cheated out of by losing him so soon? Or the world was cheated?
If you're looking at the whole world, he had so much to offer and he had so much more to give. I mean, the album I think he produced quite late on. He sort of with just before the last couple of albums he did with Queen was Barcelona, which he did with Tim Rice and primarily Mike Moran. You could hear the quality of his voice broadening and deepening. He was trying new things. He was always trying new things. And even when he's, you know, he was having respiratory problems, and you know, you could see he was getting, and he was supporting his voice in a slightly different way. It produced a sort of, there was less chest. It was more of a, it was still hitting the notes, but there was a thinner quality to it in terms of how he's producing the voice. It sounded ethereal. It sounded fantastic. I think because he's got, if you've got a lot of music in you and you want to get it out, and you know that you've got the facility to do that, you know that you can stack up some harmonies in your studio and it's just going to sound great. You know you've got Roger is going to produce this gorgeous drum sound, and Brian is got this cathedral of options in his head with his guitar, and the most brilliant sort of counterpoint bassing from John. If you've got this amazing team that you can work with, or even when his solo stuff with Mike, he was working with a lot, and Montserrat, I think it's just heartbreaking that has to stop, really.
Yeah.
As I say, it was they were keen to reference their past. They knew that there was a signature sound, and there were certain Queen type traditional things you could employ in an arrangement that would keep the traditional fans on board, so to speak. But actually, they were very, very good at surveying the horizon of what was around and what was coming and what was current, and incorporating that in, and then suddenly surprising you with something that's ahead of any curve, and just them just finding something new and getting all excited as a band together. So things like, Seamus Gold on Days of Our Lives, absolutely, and Innuendo, even though it was a sort of Led Zeppelin-y reference, there was so much fresh and new, and the changes they put in were so exciting. That it's that, really. I mean, you've got that much creativity and you've got that much energy to have a disease that it's such a slow exit from the stage, and you just see,
that's a great way to put it. I think you put it in great perspective there, with a slow exit from the stage.
Yeah, but it gave him time to
right
to really think about stuff. Something like Mother Love, he wrote kind of the last thing he recorded. I think he was writing that with Brian. I think they were helping him.
Sure.
The time was the essence, so there wasn't time to put some practice lyrics in. You just have to get the lyrics as good as they can get as fast as possible. Do a couple of takes of each track. A song like Mother Love is I think Queen can be regarded as they've got songs they're very famous for, like Don't Stop Me Now, which is very hedonistic and throwing yourself at life and all that sort of stuff. And then there's a very, very, very mature kind of reflective statement in something like Mother Love, which is just moving past all that and going back to your sort of your core self, really, and get back in touch with that, and realizing what you need when you're staring mortality in the face. And so that kind of thing is extraordinary. But I think some of that was probably engendered by the fact that there was this ticking clock, but I think, I don't know, it would have been extraordinary to see what he would have what he would have got bored with and left, and what he'd have gone on to do. Because that's it's the surprise element. It's the it's no, we're not going to do that. Now we're doing this. That's the thing. And that surety of, he had such a great ear for an eye for the right look, how a song could be commercial but also be challenging. I
asked that question because he was so vast. His ability, his ear, his mind. Take for example Jimmy Page. I'm a huge. We all huge Jimmy Page. Even Brian, but more like a Jimmy Page, and not to denigrate that at all. It's genius. But what Jimmy Page does is all you would get from Jimmy Page. He plays what he plays from a musical standpoint, versus a guy like Freddie. It could have been anything theatrical. It could be political. It could be anything, and that's what I think what we got cheated most of what. Obviously more music, great Live Aid style presentations.
He was just funny as well, though. He was just funny.
Other stuff I'm talking
about. The humor. I mean, the humor. I think if you focus on too much on losing him, it's hard not to. You get sad, no matter how far away you are from when it happened.
Right.
But what I think you've got to pull into that. There's a lot of humor. He was such a funny guy. He was so funny. So
because he was so smart.
He was so smart. He was quick.
Right.
He could be, he had a little bit of a devil in his humor now and again. And he didn't, he was. I don't know. That's that quality and that element. That I drawn towards. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's we're going to wind this down a little bit. I could do it for hours with you. One of my favorite artists. Absolutely. We love having you at the Arcada Theater. Let's talk about your show a little bit. You've been probably quarantined like the rest of the world. You've been down. Is there anything different that we can expect? Anything you could talk about from your show?
What we did is, well, we were just about to launch when we were going to go to America. I'd been sort of working on the whole lighting and backdrops and all sorts of stuff. So there's going to be a new visual, very much a new visual that we're going to tour around. I was very excited about that. So that's on pause. I think everything is just on pause at the moment. As far as the band goes, one of the first things we did that popped into my head when I realised there was going to be, this was the real trouble. I was listening to the news reports, before lockdowns happened, thinking this doesn't sound like this is manageable. This isn't just a flu. This is something way bigger, and that's got massive implications because I've kind of had a little look into these sort of things, and you thought this is potentially a year and a half. Who knows how long this is going to be? But I had immediately this song I wrote, which was a while back, and I put it away. It lost it on a hard drive. I didn't even know if I could find the multi-track. But it wasn't about this sort of situation, but it's about coming back after a hiatus. It's about promising a return, and it's got that resilience thing. So, and it was written in the style of Queen for a project that never happened. And I put the vocal on it, and we put this video together of us in and out of costume called "We'll Fight Again." And so that was great fun because it was sort of like probably something I wouldn't actually got round to doing anything with really. If this thing hadn't happened. So and now I'm thinking, I think that's we're not going to keep releasing songs in the style of Queen because that would be foolhardy. But and now having done that, I think it's going to be interesting to come up with other things and have some fun.
Speaking of other things, I know you've been working on kind of a lockdown song.
Yeah, that's what I was exactly. This is the lockdown song I was talking about, the "We'll Fight Again" song. So yeah,
okay, great.
And that's what we got here. Coming up, that's us packing our costumes away as the theatres close, and so yeah, it's a combination of me there and then.
Look at that! That's crazy! Oh my goodness, that visual.
It was shot in my garage with loads of black duvets hung up with clothes pegs, and that was in the corner of my kitchen. I've got this great big light I use that cheers you up when it's winter, and they're great for lighting. So. Yeah, no, it's great. So it's all of us out of costumes, and then we sort of, as you watch the video, you see us side by side, and then it flips and changes and stuff. So that was great fun to do. And it was quite nice to see the band as themselves, but also, with a nod to the look of
it's like when Kiss came out without their makeup.
Yeah. So there's obviously a fair degree of smoke and mirrors, as you can see.
Well, you know what? In light of how it was done, and where, and pictures and stuff, I think the production value is quite high. It really, really is. The song is great. I'm sure you'll probably add it into your live performance whenever that happens. I'm not sure that would be. I'm not. Oh yeah, but anyway, we had a lot of we had a lot of hits. We had something like, I don't know, 250,000 or so people watch it on Facebook or so. So that was great. We raised a little bit of money because it wasn't really for sale as a song, but it led to a link, and you could donate to the health service we have over here, which I guess everyone's been donating to worldwide in various forms. So that was good. That was good to do. And meanwhile, it's just we, as I say, we had the show ready. We had this new, lovely looking show. We were very excited to take it out, but it's just still sitting there. So it's in a warehouse somewhere. I have no idea where. But when we get out again, it's going to be good. But we just have to wait and see when that will be, and we'll just be patient. Meanwhile, we'll be sitting at home doing my vocal exercises. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? We are. It's just like there's always a somewhat of an upside to things, and the only upside that I could see to this whole pandemic thing is the fact that when we ultimately come back, when Killer Queen comes across the pond, comes to the Arcada Theater, comes to the other places around the country, the appreciation level, it was high before.
That's going to be such a champagne cork moment.
Well, you know what? Because your entrance on stage is explosive already. It was always, really theatrical, really wonderful. But man, oh man, when that moment finally happened,
I think the whole world's like a pressure cooker at the moment.
Exactly.
That lid is bubbling on the top of the pot, And it's like, oh my God, you have to sort of, and you want to make sure if it's going to go pop, it's going to go pop in a positive way. So
And that's what we have to look forward to.
yeah, I really can't wait, but we're going to have to wait, but it's going to be good fun. And I think, I hadn't actually had a break from this for too long, really. And a lot of people were saying, you've got to stop, you've got to take it a little bit more easy. And I couldn't really see how that would happen. Not that you want it ever to happen like this, that's for sure. But as I say, that you can, if you don't have to be Einstein to see that there's going to be advantages to it. So being at home and having this time is great, but also it makes you. I kind of already valued what I did quite a lot already, massively, because it's a bit of like a magic dream job, not like the dream job, but like a dream, like you're in a dream, because it's so strange that this sort of career even exists, really. But the fact that it does, and it goes down so well in so many places all over the world, and we play arenas and all that sort of stuff, it's brilliant. So I've always been grateful for it. But when you've got this enforced off the road bit, it makes you, like you say, it makes it makes you value it even more, really. And yeah, it's going to be such a release. It's going to be so good fun when everyone can just relax. We can go to a venue. We can have a great time.
Well, I can tell you, when you get to our venue, we are going to far from relax. It's going to be incredible. Where we can't wait to see you. Please send our best to the other boys in the band. I got to thank you, Patrick, for being with us, because we miss you very much. We love you.
Thank you. It's been lovely talking to you. Nice to see you again.
It's always great to see you. It's always something when I hear, well, Patrick, the band is in the dressing rooms. I'm going to go say hi. I go down there and you're in the dressing room and I see you. It's like, man, Freddie, I'm not Freddie. I mean, Patrick, how you doing? It's always so nice, and I mean that.
And we love playing there at the Arcada. It's such a great venue. It's got such a brilliant vibe. Everything about it's brilliant, But
we're going through a tremendous renovation now. You won't.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, wow.
It's going to be great. So, once again, thank you. Again, thank the band. I want to thank Steve Love for putting this all together. Our artists on lockdown. I also got to throw a hi out there to Dean Sweat, who also helps us book the band over here as well, along with Steve. Ben, our producer, thanks very much. And make sure everybody just likes this and shares this. It's a great interview with a great guy from a great band. What we say, Patrick, all the best, health, safety, best of luck. And we are just at the edge of our seats to see you on stage once again very, very soon.
That's wonderful to hear. Same to you. Everyone stay safe, and let's all have a good a time as we can have, having as much fun here. And then when we get back on the road, it's party time.
Oh, man, it will be. All the best, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time on Artists on Lockdown with my brothers, Vinny Appice and Carmine Appice. Talk to you soon. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye, everybody.